It's time for Justice for the People with Pastor Charles Bennett. Justice for the People, exploring issues involving corruption and injustices in the Tri-Cities. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and Pastor Bennett, and not necessarily those of the moderator, management, staff, or advertisers of WHAP. Here now is Pastor Charles Bennett and Justice for the People.
Let me tell you something, folks. It's not easy. It's not easy being a citizen today. And we hear about how hard it is to be a police officer. Well, let me tell you something. You officers are making it hard on yourselves, especially when you treat all the public like we're crackheads. We're not crackheads. And when a person says to you, "Officer, I'm not sure I have to give you my identification just because I'm walking down the sidewalk here, unless I've done something wrong," then you need to say, "Sir, you're right, and I would just like to know who you are, if you wouldn't mind telling me. Why are you here?" You know, the other day I was coming out of Arlington Street area of Hopewell, and an officer saw me going into Arlington Street. The officer recognized me and waved at me. Now, if he had not known who I was, here's a white man, 59-year-old white man, coming out of an area that's known for drugs in Hopewell. He could have turned around real quick, started following me, trying to nitpick my car and everything else. And I would surely understand. However, just because a white man's down in Arlington doesn't mean he's picking up drugs. I was helping Emmanuel put some carpet in a house down there. You know, there are many times that my beautiful 30-some-year-old daughter is riding around in her Lotus, and she rolls, she has a black man in the car with her and rolls through Colonial Heights because he's a worker for her, and so she's taking him from this job over here to just put some trim around, you know, finish the quarter round trim in the bathroom of another house that they're working on. Why should she be stopped? Like, how dare a black man be riding around with a white woman in Colonial Heights? You officers in Colonial Heights, you need to be reschooled. You need a lesson. You need someone to sit you down and tell you the facts of life. Because here you are, all you're interested in is cheap money-raising tickets. And you're proud of the fact that you got the whole area so scared of you that you don't have drugs in Colonial Heights. So you're doing a good job, and your strategy is to harass every black person coming through town. See? And you're deceived. You're deceived because Colonial Heights, Colonial Whites, has lots of drugs there. A man told me one time, he said, look, he said, I had one time over $300,000 in cocaine hidden in my barn. I said, where'd you have that hidden at? In Colonial Heights. I said, there are no barns in Colonial Heights. He said, oh yes there is. I've been told stories that would blow your mind. One night we were at a tent revival in Five Corners here in Hopewell. A man came rolling up to the store across the street. That was the store designated that he had to go to that payphone there and call the people that he was running drugs up from Florida to deliver them to D.C. The pastor over there that was putting on this tent meeting, he was using my tent, said to me, Pastor Bennett, you won't believe this. He said, but I walked across the street after this guy gave his heart to Jesus. He walked The guy made his phone call, walked across the street, gave his heart to the Lord, knelt down in the middle of the tent revival and said, God, if you'll help me get these drugs delivered so they won't kill me, I'll never run another drug as long as I live. That guy took the pastor across the street, opened up the trunk of his car. His car was filled, a equivalent of a big suitcase full of cocaine. White powder, bags and bags of white powder in the back in the trunk of his car. He said, preacher, would you pray with me, because if I try to get out of this organization, it could cost me my life. He said, I'm going to deliver these drugs to D.C. Now, what you brilliant police officers don't understand is that the big drugs are not running up and down 295. Those are the drugs that are run up and down 295, the sacrificial lambs, if you will. They ain't nothing. The big drugs come up the back roads, get on the 301s and get on the 106s and cross the river into Charles City and go up on Route 5 and go over to Fredericksburg, hit over to 17, go up 17, hit 301, go up into D.C. You people in the public that think that these officers on 295 have done a great job because they got somebody with a bunch of marijuana in their car. It was a little fish. It was nothing. You're talking about a pastor who spent the last 30 years of his life trying to help people that were being destroyed with drugs. 3 days later, this guy comes down to the tent meeting. I happened to be there that night. He comes walking in, and the pastor said to me, that's the man that delivered the drugs I was telling you about. I said, oh my goodness. And he came in that tent meeting and gave his testimony in almost speaking in code. I had a grave thing I had to do. God helped me do it. And then I made my pledge before God, I will never again be involved in what I was involved with. I knew what he was saying. The pastor knew what he was saying.